everyone who may or may not be here. Welcome back to the stream. This is my channel where we play non-violent games that reward us for engaging with them intellectually and or emotionally, rather than rewarding us for any kind of violent accomplishments. Today we are playing more of The Great Ace Attorney, where hopefully I've done a good job recording some voices for characters so I can revisit them more easily. 19th February, Mr. Gyarados' room.
Ah, you pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there?
Is that the voice I gave him? It's close to it.
Well, it's nothing particularly significant. Tell me, yeah, it's kind of like that. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there?
Mr. Herlock Sholmes?
Ah, yes, rings a vague bell. All the detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid.
Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there.
Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joan. Now then. Why don't you... Ah! For the umpteenth time, women, will you watch what you're bloody well doing?
I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir.
Yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave if you'd be so kind.
Oh, yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for all your assistance.
Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk with young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck and all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out.
According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Gyarados is hiding something. And since no other avenues of investigation seem open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. Look at that enormous screen! Must have been put there deliberately, surely. Yes, it certainly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. What could be behind it, I wonder? I'm going to have a very quick look. Just a little peek.
Ahem.
Maybe let's not, Mrs. Otto. I think the maid is going to head us off with a cup of tea. Oh, look! What a wonderful collection of cakes lined up on that gleaming silver cake stand. Lined up? Looks more like someone has half demolished them to me. Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence, you know. It is quite the English way. It is Mr. Gyarados' custom to take 2 cakes with his tea. That sounds delightful. Oh, wait a minute though. There are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand. Well, naturally, and it would never do to waste the leftovers. So whatever Mr. Gyarados doesn't eat, I say to myself, Joan, you shall have to tidy up. How magnanimous of you. Oh, would you look at that? Ah, what's he doing over there? Mr. Sholmes? Aha! We can meet again, my dear fellows.
Good gracious, when did you sneak in here?
Herlock Sholmes, sir, at your service. Whatever were you doing by the window? I am given I'm given to watching the evening skies, the sunsets, madam. It's hardly cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is. It lacks an aperture for such an observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here.
Well,
Keeping an eye to one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. Ah, another thing, Mr. Naruto. Oh, me? I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about... Is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. Do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? There is a mighty secret in this modest room, and my eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruto? I think so. There's just time enough for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. Mr. Garrett, though it would seem you're a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first-rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it is all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I have been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements.
I beg your pardon?
The first is that, even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Mr. Naruto, look! The old man's broken out in a cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Show's conclusions are both spot on.
How? How could you possibly?
How could I possibly know? You mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For, in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts.
Ah!
And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Nature of the beast. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? Ah, for a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garrett, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts.
What is this piffle, I ask you?
In the end, your admiration became so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you tried to keep in this very house.
What?
Yet, living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. Chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well... Yet, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? Oh, hold on, what voice did I give her? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is... Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show. Ah! Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garrett. At Betty's Circus. A traveling show currently sojourning In a nearby park, I have observed thence. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe.
I'm most certain I did not.
I believe I have made my point. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. Now, Mr. Garadeb, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Amid fits of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage.
Nonsense, man, I simply...
But what, we must now ask ourselves, is the true cause of this pain? And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is the pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go.
Yes, well,
Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last imaginable act. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I am not mistaken. Oh, dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. Oh. There is no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain noble woman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact. Whatever do you mean? Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need not spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There is only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Thus concludes Hillocksham's great deduction of this beastly puzzle. Actually, guys, I just remembered that I haven't filled up my water bottle yet. So I will be right back. That's an important thing to have for really any stream, but especially a voice acting stream. Be right back. Oh. Hey everyone, I'm back. Sorry about that. Oh, one of my webcams froze again. That happens sometimes. There we go. Alright. Sorry about that. What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garradib. I'm afraid I didn't notice. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times, too. Oh. Mr. Sholmes? Sorry to butt in. Again. But could I make an observation? Why, certainly, Mr. Naruto. What is it? Again. Well, your deductions just now. Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size? Indeed. It is the only explanation for the facts. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Garradib and his maid would have been hurt, or worse. Ah, that's where you are struck. That's where you are stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast, using that large cannon. I thought you said that they sold the lion to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I have ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. Ah, my dear Mr. Sato, it occurs to me with some regularity that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, they are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Oh, what a glorious notion. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. A slight massage, that's all Mr. Sholmes' deductions need. You can do it. Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. We don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motivation. At least, that's what I want to believe. Let us start again. From the beginning of Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. I really didn't see the lion thing coming. No, but if you observe Mr. Garradib's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room. Yes, something with a very fierce nature. But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India. So, what was it then? We must follow Mr. Garradib's gaze. That will lead us to the true answer. What's this photograph? It appears to be from Mr. Garradib's wedding. He looks very happy, doesn't he? He does, but you can't make out his bride. No, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face. I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply there. The glass is broken, so you can't see the bride's face at all. No amount of cracks could hide the woman's plump form. I think powerful would be kinder than plump, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, she certainly looks that. There's a lot of horsepower there. Not someone you'd want to upset, that's for sure. Have you noticed her wedding ring? It's very large, isn't it? Yes, that's an unusual design. It looks like some sort of embellished sunflower. These are shells for the cannon, aren't they? Are they? These are shells for the cannon, are they? What a strange place to keep them. I imagine they have some significance to Mr. Garrett from his time in the army. Of course. He mentioned a battle to us before, didn't he? Do you remember? He said that he'd been shot in the knee. Perhaps it was one of these that hit him. For around that size it hit his knee, there'd be nothing left of it, or Mr. Garrett for that matter. Mr. Shones is a Persian slipper, and this man has spent shells. Perhaps it's customary in Britain to display, well, rubbish on the mantelpiece. Well, this is the lion statue that Mr. Shones picked out. Yes, I wonder. Perhaps if you did lie with a lion, it would prove to be a rather sweet companion. I think that's like a mouse trying to tell its family that the cat around the house is sweet. I suppose it is a bit of a flight of fancy, isn't it? Anyway, the beast we're looking for is something else. Let's have a good look around. I am somewhat worried that what they're trying to say is that the wife is the beast. That's kind of sexist, if that's what they're going for.
Take that!
Behind the lion statue on the mantelpiece, almost deliberately hidden from view, is a photograph. Though I have yet to examine in detail, I can assure you that it holds the answer. Because I'm employing an extremely advanced detection technique called jumping to conclusions, you see. What spectacularly contrived logic led you to this mindless conclusion? It's supposed to be a logic and reasoning spectacular, so I thought I'd contribute to the show. This is my ship, Mr. Naruto. Kindly perform any peculiar experiments on your own stage. Okay, sorry. Well, what do we do now with some certainty is that a destructive creature has been at work in this room, and that Mr. Garrett inadvertently looked in the direction of something that gives its identity away. Yes, if we investigate thoroughly enough, we ought to find the answer. What did Mr. Garrett have turned to look at? It's here somewhere. We simply need to find it. Okay, I am really glad they didn't do that. I'm really happy they didn't do that. Beast. There's only 3 things I can click on here. Like on this mantelpiece, there's not much stuff here.
Take that!
What the butter wouldn't melt, accomplish the cannon. But war is good for nothing. It brings only destruction. Something we must all strive to understand. What precisely was your intention with that? So what else could there be? I'm trying to figure it out, but there's not much else here. What am I missing? up or down, only side to side. There's nothing else here. Oh.
Take that!
Dang it. So the problem was that I was technically clicking on the photograph, not on the newlywed bride. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that newlywed bride. Precisely, Mr. Naruto. No other explanation could possibly fit. Yes, this framed print pictures your wife, Mr. Garrett. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, we can still make out her mighty arms, and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. Shit. Oh. Indeed. Surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored to be described as a beast. Jesus Christ. Oh man, that is so sexist. That's really sexist. Honored might be stretching a point. Too late. The fact remains that the beast, which so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Gyarados. Ah! The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. What? Yet, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but is plain. It is. Poor fragile defenseless woman is beside herself. Well, I don't know about fragile. Oh dear. Anyways, Mr. Jones is quite right. There's no sign of a Mrs. Garrett anywhere. But it seems there may be a clue as to her whereabouts. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. I wonder where Mr. Garrett's wife could be. Two tightly shut eyes to avoid even the chance of a giveaway glance. Pursed lips to prevent any secrets from slipping out. Rounded cheeks to deflect any abuse that might be hurled her way. Yes, this is an unnervingly powerful woman, Miss Usato. It's your turn of phrase that's unnerving, Mr. Naruto. What a charming little teapot. And it's in pristine condition. Joan has been pouring some deliciously fragrant tea from it for Mr. Garrett, hasn't she? Well, not so much for Mr. Garrett as on Mr. Garrett, wouldn't you say? I wouldn't dream of drawing attention to it. Oh, let's see. Ah, there we go. Wedding ring. I figured. She's wearing a very large ring. Look. Oh, yes, a sunflower design with some rather nice embellishments. And it's on the ring, it's on the ring finger of her left hand, which means it's surely a wedding ring. It looks like it's on there for life, too. I can't imagine it would slide off a finger of that size. That's something to think, Mr. Naruto. Not to say. Do you know, Mr. Gyarados' wife in the photograph had a ring very much like this one. It was a large sunflower design as well. Really? You have a great memory for these things. A large sunflower wedding ring. It's quite a coincidence that they have the same ring, isn't it?
Take that!
Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. Ah! Indeed it does. The flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. For it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Garrett's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Garrodub's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Garrodub herself. Oh my word!
Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly surmise, this is the wife.
Yes, my Joan. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was a bally corkerback. Ah! It would appear that you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you are a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct?
It's not right, I tell you. I was second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man has his pride, don't you know? By golly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ.
Yes, here in London, one is rather judged. A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though, in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are folly. You mean Mr. Garrodub has his wife work as his maid? Precisely. Am I right, Mr. Garrodub?
Only in company, obviously.
But listen here, this must remain a secret. Tip-top secret, please! Oh my god, this is so sexist. Oh my god, this is uncomfortably sexist. Oh my god. Damn, Mr. Garrodub. Real bad. Mr. Sholmes is quite something. He's still calling Mr. Garrodub's wife a beast. Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable. But Mrs. Garrodub is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. So perhaps that supporting arm that seems to be propping up his head has some other significance then. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garrodub's pain is tangible, though. What could that pose of his really signify? Holy oh my god, this whole thing is just, oh my god. I hate this. This is so sexist. Oh my, look at that bright red mark. Gosh, that's quite something, and clearly made by somebody's hand. Yes, Mr. Garrodub has been slapped on the face, it seems. Hard. I've never seen such a clearly defined mark. Whoever could have done such a thing? Well, there's a very limited number of candidates, I'd say.
Take that!
Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. And, of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade. Was you, Madame Joan Garrodub? Madame Joan Garrodub? Well, yes. You have been desperate to hide the slap mark on your cheek, sir. Ow! How the blazes? How did you work that out, ma'am? Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. To keep your other side from view. Well, Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjugated to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves, what caused Madame Garrodub to fly into a rage? And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. It is this pile of bills that has given me. Didn't Mr. Shams say that the bills were all for lion fodder? Yes, but now we've established that the lion never existed, which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling all that food was Mr. Garradeb's wife. Mr. Naruhodo, she's a person, not a thing. Yes, well, she's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap round the face. One so hard it left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? I'd love to know the answer to that question. Ah, someone must be reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here, too. Mr. Garradeb is clearly an avid reader. Wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note, written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. And look next to the signature here. Lip marks, made with lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas, Susanoo-san. Oh, dear, I'm sorry. So, this bookmark is actually a love note, then.
Take that!
Yes, it is this love note that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here. She's... Oh, I hate this so much.
But I don't know the Bali woman.
You don't know her?
That note wasn't written to me.
It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. It was just in there, you say?
That's right. What I'm trying to say. Ah!
Likely story.
Now listen here, journal thing. I explained at the time. I bought the book at that second-hand place, and that note must have already been in there.
So the previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean?
That's right. That's what I've been saying.
A likely story.
For heaven's sake, you woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you'd forgotten, is John. Ah!
A likely story.
Are you questioning my name now?
And there we have it. Arouse the suspicions of the female heart, and you unleash a beast with the most ferocious bite.
Oh.
Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can clearly be... could have caused such a destructive outburst. This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. No wondering I settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the town of cakes. But surely Mrs. Garradeb didn't eat the carpet. No, of course not. I'm sorry. But there doesn't seem to be any doubt that the state of disarray that this room is in is a result of her wild temper. No, that's true. So this is the last part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction that we need to fix. We only need to follow Mrs. Garradeb's gigs, and that will tell us the real answer. Alright, let's see what we could see. Yes. This looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? The base looks too small. Surely it's very unstable. Looks to me like even the slightest knock would make it topple over. Oh dear, that would be very dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. There's one candle missing. Yes, I didn't notice that. How do you not notice that? Why is that, I wonder? What is one candle of the three? Why is one candle of the three missing from its holder? carpet here has been ripped to shreds. Yes, according to Mr. Holmes' deduction, the tears match those made by an Indian lion's teeth exactly. Oh, look here. What is it? What is it? If you look closely at the edge, you'll see scorch marks. Oh, yes, so you can. In that case, perhaps the carpet wasn't eaten in the normal sense at all. Let's rethink this with that in mind.
Take that!
And only look at the candlestick. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the candlestick. Most illuminating, my dear fellow, and of course, the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. Indeed, they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away.
Scorch marks?
It would appear that this room was the scene of a little marital altercation. Mrs. Garrett's mighty arm muscles left an impression not only on her husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of her strike caused a candle to fall from the holder. And in seconds, the carpet was alight, the whole corner of the room in flames.
Yes,
For the most ferocious beast in the world, there is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful woman, but fire. And in this room, the ferocious beast that bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there is but one conclusion here. After the sparks of marital discord flew, this room was the scene of a fire. Mr. Sholmes, I salute you! Carpet scorched by a small fire.
It's these dashed long winter nights, you know. Nothing to do but to read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there.
And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material, for which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems.
Don't know about admonished. Demolished might be rather closer to the mark.
And beast is most certainly an apt ah! Here we go again. And the carpet? Was that destroyed by a fire when a candle fell on the floor?
Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke, couldn't see a bally thing. I was caught between the old stick's rage and the raging flames.
You painted a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. That's sympathy for you.
Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. We've had to hide the mist behind that screen for the time being.
Over here, Mr. Garrett. You have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me.
Had all my favorite of novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke. Gosh. Then the wife started hurling things at me.
What a terrible sight it must have been.
There was I, back up against the window under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen.
Worst of it is, I lost my favorite. Book called The Lion's Bride. The Lion's Bride? Ah, yes. Your notorious love of big cats coming through again. I assure you the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest. So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage. Mr. Sholmes' deductions turned out to be correct once again. It can only be described as a great British wonder. I tell you, it was total carnage. Flames everywhere, and the old stick in a full fettle. Out of interest, what time of day was that? Not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see, around 5 o'clock, I think. So at exactly the same time, as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below. Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole of Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that moment, and I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing. Oh, really? Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Naruto. What can I do for you? Well, I think we've got to the bottom of Mr. Gyarados' situation now. But what does it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man would be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of relevance or not. I just knew you were going to say that. Now, Mr. Naruto, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only two categories. Those are relevant to the case, and those not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now. Sorry. Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over. Oh no, is it that time already? If we're going to accept Mr. Natsume's case, we have official paperwork to attend to. So that's it. No more time to think. Perhaps you would like to betake yourselves to bidding us farewell now. I must prepare supper for Mr. Garrideb. Oh yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. Seki-san will be waiting for us, and I'm going to have to give him an answer. That whole thing was just really uncomfortable and sexist. Oh wow. And they kind of lampshaded it, but still, like, didn't really deal with it in any way. Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I didn't like that at all, and I'm sorry to all my viewers who saw that and were uncomfortable with it. I'm sorry. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a cat. Oh. What's the matter? It looks like something's going on over there in front of the Garrideb's house.
I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers.
Who are you calling an old man, you looking niminy-biminy? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. No, there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Who's this Horatio fella, eh? What are you on about? Who's this Horatio fella, eh? What are you on about? Excuse me? What the... Who are you now? I'm sorry. It just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Ryonosuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see. A lawyer? What's that? What? If I can be of any assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I have studied English law. Fine. I'll be on my way for today, but you'll mark my words. This ain't over yet.
Get thee to a nunnery.
Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you? I do hope you're not injured.
Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle, thank you.
What was that all about?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
I'm not Horatio either. Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here, in the Garda residence?
Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode.
Mr. Garda mentioned that he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor?
Ah, yes. A gentleman named Natsume. A more worthy polemist than my battle of words ne'er could there be.
Sorry, battle, did you say?
Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I sparred long into the night.
I see. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsume and this gentleman are acquaintances at best. Acquaintances at best, or... Oh, acquaintances at least.
So, fair maiden, so good gentleman, I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well.
I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. It seems he's unaware what happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us. Saseki-san and that man is lodged at the Garda house is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go and find a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsume is eagerly awaiting our return. Let's hope we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over. February 6:31 p.m. Local prison, cell 9. Alright, what voice did I give him?
They started shouting. Oh, it's you, you're here. You came, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I can't believe you came back. I'm so touched.
We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume.
Oh no, think nothing of it. Relax. If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nipponiers.
Oh, now, let's not get carried away. Oh, I quite agree. There is nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand... it is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates that fact. Such is my belief, at least.
It's you. The miserable rotten spy, Herlock Sholmes.
Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here? I have no intention of doing anything per se. Save serving, of course. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home, to see how our divested friends faring.
Gloomful room?
At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it is the superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight, and cost me not a penny.
Ah, you! How dare you, Hairlock Stones! Oh, I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings. No doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trials as well. My whole life is bedamned.
What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean. There is much truth in Mr. Mustache's words. What? Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say, for the man's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial. What's that supposed to mean? Ah! Mr. Natsumi, what did you mean by what you said just now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed?
Oh, no! Why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it.
Oh, I see. That's really agitated him.
You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow?
Are you referring to the prosecutor? The Reaper of the Bailey?
The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please tell me, summarize it succinctly in 16 salient words.
No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution. Ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Oh my goodness, can it really be true?
Wait. No, that was... I thought I counted them. I'm not always good at that. Like, sometimes it just... my eyes just skip over something.
Oh well. Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly.
Yes, Sensei. Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper. Then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances.
Mr. McGilded.
What? I'm impressed, Mr. Sato. You have an eye for detail. Actually, the Lord Chief Justice tells us. Mr. Sholmes, surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zieks killed the man himself. Oh, no! He couldn't have, surely. You have some wonderful notions. Sorry? The man isn't a mass murderer, he's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. Oh, yes. Why, of course he is.
Ah, of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me?
It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. What on earth do you mean by that? Van Zieks is a quite exceptional man. However, in London's courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception.
Ah, that's good.
Usagi-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy. As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial, there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system, whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion, in particular, is somewhat easily manipulated.
Right.
Criminals, and corrupt lawyers for that matter, can use it to their advantage, by any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling impostors as witnesses, and so on. By such underhand means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. but it means the wrong verdict can be passed. And sadly, is from time to time, my dear madam. It is simply the reality of the situation. And that's all right? However, those indicted by Lord Ernzix cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed. Oh my. Through the adjudication, though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It is most striking.
Disappear? But how?
By all manner of misfortunes, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever. Or perhaps attacked by highwaymen.
Oh, no.
All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Nahado.
Huh, I knew it. I'm a dead Dodo, done for, doomed.
When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Gerdup's house, I assume? Do you mean to say you believe the place is cursed?
It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain, but I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself.
That didn't take long then.
Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. Yeah, they were always staring at me all the time from dawn till dusk. I shut myself away in my room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away.
You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a long time.
I've had to move a number of times. Most recently to that room on Briar Road, a week ago now.
Yes, why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient.
The rent is cheap. I have so little money, it appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed." Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late. So I told him, "If you have something to say, then say it. But if not, don't mention it in the first place."
Yes, well said.
But it was true, it was all true!
You mean the room really is cursed then?
Ever since I moved into that windowless hellhole, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me, and I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe in me? Really, no one at all.
To believe. Yes, to believe. Mr. Sholmes. Ah, me, Mr. Nahado. Pray, what can I do for you? It's about the case on the SS Buria, if you recall. The Buria. Ah, that case. The one with the snake. Well, yes. At that time, I was the suspect. But you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. And you helped us to investigate. I did I? Interesting. What I want to know is, why? Why did you believe in me? You see, yes, you mean... because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room. Well, if you like, yes. I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said I didn't do it. But I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little. I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor that which you were telling me. What? You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in. What do you mean, Mr. Shells? I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang as far as I am concerned. But I could have betrayed your trust. In that case, I should have had made an elementary error of judgment. Nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse, in my opinion. Meaning, whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself.
Yes, he's right. He's right, locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire.
Whether or not I can believe myself.
A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client.
God, I haven't listened to this voice in a long time. Hold on. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. You were so right, Kazuma. Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe. Already? Already? Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There is a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me? Oh dear. There is never enough time, is there? Mr. Natsume, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you.
Locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire.
As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday. And although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial.
Something crucial?
What to believe in. The defendant, justice, or the truth. How to believe, even. But I think I've finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else. To trust my instincts. Yes, Mr. Naruto. And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsume, are innocent of this crime. And it's imperative that we prove that in court.
Locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire.
I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow.
As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue.
Of course, Mr. Natsume. It would be fair to say, Mr. Naruto, that your mind was, in many ways, made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it. Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Mr. Sato? Yes? Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. Shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind, but it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me. Mr. Shones believes in me now too. So it's time that I learned to believe in myself. Shiseki-san has no one. He's all alone. So it's my job to help him, to fight in his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength that I can muster.
Friday, February 9:23 a.m. Gold Bailey.
Defendant's antechamber. Well, never expected this. Who'd have thought we'd be back here again so soon? We are on a study tour of Great Britain with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible. Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may well be his or her one and only time in court, and it could be life-changing. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass. Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ah, Mr. Natsume. Good morning. Oh dear, are you all right? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot.
The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain.
Yes, I've heard that expression.
But I really didn't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now I'm absolutely exhausted as a result.
Do all literary people take things so literally? Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume.
I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified to tremble.
Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor.
I can't do this. I can't take it. Although, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
Yes?
I caught a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looks like the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London.
Oh, did I? Do you know why that might be, Mr. Sato? I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea. So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence then, is it?
Don't hide the truth from me. It's because of the Reaper, isn't it?
Lord Van Zieks? Is that right, Mr. Sato? I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes, Lord Van Zieks is on the front page of every one. I knew it. Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, into the day before yesterday. Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? Trial 2 days ago marked Lord Van Zieks' return to the courtroom after a very long hiatus. The trial of Magnus McGilded. Ugh, what a harrowing experience that was. I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's. But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country. Why is the Reaper back in the belly so soon, and for what appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking, and they are all speculating various answers.
Mundane, mundane! It's the most significant saga of the century to some of us.
Oh dear, I meant no offense, Mr. Natsumi, but that is how the papers are describing it.
Well, lest we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. But there is another blatant similarity with the trial of 2 days ago.
Yes, I agree.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. It's you.
Me? Well, I suppose that's true.
Both times it is you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper.
Please, I don't rub shoulders with Deathbringers. I'm afraid that there's really only one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck.
Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck. Why must I be represented by a man with such frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive.
Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student new to London with little in the way of experience or skills. Or luck. But I promise you this, I will fight your corner. I will fight in your corner until the bitter end. And I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire. You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side. Oh, benevolent non-locum assistant, Miss Mikotoba Esquires. I am in your debt forever. I shall never forget this great kind. Mr. Natsume. Wait,
Mr. Natsume, Counsel for Defense.
I don't know. Mr. Natsume,
Counsel for the Defense. Mr. Natsume, Counsel for the Defense. The court session is about to begin. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once.
Alright then, Mr. Natsume. It's time. Let's go.
Yeah!
This is it. My second appearance in a British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because this time, I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I could do this now. I'm ready for this fight. God, I hope the jury is the same. 20th February, 10 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Nope. Completely different jury. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
Prosecution is fully prepared, my lord.
The defense is ready, my lord.
The Nipponese are a truly fascinating breed.
Sorry, what?
Lord Strongheart has told me all about you. That you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago. A mere amateur.
Do you have a point?
Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance.
Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description. Sada-san. After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent.
Very true. And the most fascinating, if dark, trial it was, too. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. Here's to the acquitted, and his unfortunate, violent end.
Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as impartial members of the public?
You never know when you...
So this is, at the very least, at least some of them are characters we've already dealt with, so that's good.
You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone. You never know... You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone. You'll never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone.
Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear. Oh, well, not me. What you see is what you get. Peace-loving fellow. Oh, well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. Oh wait, no, that's Joan. That's Joan. I'm afraid to say I think it's quite possible the Mustache Fauna did the deed.
Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway. Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway. Sorry, didn't quite catch that. Very well, let us proceed. Your opening statement, if you please, Lord Van Zeeks. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with a rising power in the Far East. The accursed Madocte is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. And while our country has extended this foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably, the kindness has not been returned. In fact, this student is accused of a most sinister act. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. A knife crime? I tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst. Bloody oath they are.
Just look at that sallow complexion and short stature. He's one of those dreadful Japanese. Oh, she's racist. Why are so many people racist in this game?
Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Wait, come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, didn't quite catch that.
Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hallowed chalice here in this great chamber. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand.
Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please.
Your name and occupation, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard. Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector? The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green.
I beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be?
Yes, having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since.
What? So they don't even know who she is for sure?
Comatose.
I see. But her life is not in danger.
Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be for murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map. Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map.
What is it?
Truth is, unless she comes around smartish. As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago, at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement, running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not long since stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back. Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. But being unconscious as she is, we have been unable to take a statement from her, of course. This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far.
Probably talks faster than that. Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please.
What of the weapon that was used? Sir, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back.
Ouch, that big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman. Even the scrag-looking Soseki-san, I suppose. A common Ogaden jackknife, I would say, rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence. Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume?
From what we can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have had anything much worth pinching, my lord.
I see. Well, in that case, are we looking at some seated resentment towards the victim?
I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting some second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
Yes!
If theft and grievance had been ruled out as the motive, what reason could Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery, but your words have soured its hallowed bouquet. For it is you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed here.
What?
Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred. There was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the bloke to arrest him. Old books, you say? Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here. That's not... Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. My lord. Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. Oh yeah, no. Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. Ah, yes. I can clearly see the books to which you are referring.
I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector. You Nipponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat. Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Well, Forgive me, Lord Van Zieks, but the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it. What are you doing, Mr. Sato?
Do go on.
Mr. Natsumi has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, now you mention it. When we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what had all happened.
As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there, so I ran, as fast as my legs would carry me back to my cursed lodgings. A green overcoat?
Well, that's exactly what the woman in that print is wearing. Oh my, a photographic printed full color. What will the world come up with next? The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. That does not mean that he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back.
There was nobody else there at the time. Just the two of them. The victim and the accused. In other words, there is nobody else who could possibly have stabbed the woman. A fact that the accused concedes. Ugh. It seems this cross-examination could... It seems this cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. Proceed, please.
Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance. Alright, guys. I'm feeling a little low on energy today. I think I'm gonna have to stop there. Sorry, I know I usually go for 2 hours, but I'm just losing energy tonight. So I'm just gonna end a little earlier than usual. It's not that much earlier, there's only 20 minutes left in my usual 2 hours, but for now, I just feel like I'd be pushing through in a way that would probably be unhealthy for me. And I'm trying to figure out how to take care of myself a little more these days. So, looks like nobody's streaming that I could raid, really. So, I will just end. And I want to thank so much everyone who was here, and anyone who wasn't here, and anyone who's looking at the video on demand on my YouTube channel.